Often the subject of international manhunts, these fugitives are considered armed and extremely dangerous. Here are 5 of the FBI's most wanted. Number 5. Luis Macedo. 28-year-old Luis Macedo is a member of the Chicago division of the Latin Kings street gang. He is currently on the FBI's most wanted list for the murder of 15-year-old Alex Arellano. As the teenage boy was heading to a party with his girlfriend and a group of friends, he was confronted by 2 men on bicycles who asked him about his gang affiliations. Arellano denied having any connection to the gang, and the 2 men left. However, a short time later, they returned in car, along with other Latin Kings members, and demanded that Arellano throw up the crown or show them one of their gang signs. When the 15-year-old refused, the men attacked him with baseball bats. Arellano managed to flee to the backyard of a vacant home, but the attackers followed him, led, according to Chicago police, by Luis Macedo. They continued to beat the teenage boy and ultimately ended his life by shooting him in the head. Then the gang members burned his body. 4 of the Latin Kings involved in Arellano's murder have already been arrested and convicted, but Luis Macedo has managed to evade capture. Macedo is described as a Hispanic male of 130 pounds with a height of 5 feet and 5 inches. Some of his tattoos include a crown on the left side of his neck and a crown with the word Amor on top of his right hand. FBI officials suspect that he is currently hiding in Mexico and have offered a $100,000 reward for information leading to his direct arrest. Macedo should be considered armed and extremely dangerous. Number 4. Robert William Fisher. A Navy veteran, Robert William Fisher has been on the FBI's 10 most wanted list since June 29, 2002. Fisher's parents had divorced when he was 15, and this had a long-lasting impact on him, reportedly causing him to be distant and cold in his relationship with other people. In 1987, he married Mary Cooper. They had 2 children, Brittany and Bobby. His mother-in-law, Ginny Cooper, told investigators that Fisher didn't socialize often with family because of a fear of getting too close to people and losing them. The couple had marital problems. According to Fisher's pastor, he was worried that his wife would find out about an affair he had with a prostitute who he met in a massage parlor. Fisher reportedly told one of his friends that he couldn't live without his family. Psychologists stated that Fisher's constant fear of losing his family was a result of the traumatic effect his parents' divorce had had on him. The thought of Mary leaving him, like his mother had left his father, became unbearable. According to one of their neighbors, the couple had got into a loud argument on April 9, 2001, around 10:30 p.m. On April 10, 2001, Robert William Fisher shot his wife in the back of the head and slit his children's throat from ear to ear. Several hours after that, their house exploded. The fire department was first on the scene. The firemen managed to prevent the 20-foot blaze from spreading to the neighboring houses. Upon an official investigation, it was concluded that Fisher had rigged the explosion in order to conceal the murders. He did it by pulling the gas line from the back of the house's furnace. Fisher lit candles that would ignite the accumulating gas long after being lit. The delayed fuse gave him a 10-hour head start in what would prove to be his successful attempt of evading the authorities. After Fisher was added to the FBI's most wanted list, reported sightings started coming in, but they proved to be either false or inconclusive. In 2016, 15 years after the killings, the FBI released age-enhanced sketches of Fisher. Number 3. Jason Derek Brown. Prior to being placed on the FBI's most wanted list, Jason Derek Brown owned 2 businesses which he operated out of his home in Utah. He had previously worked as a toy salesman and had also been involved in golf equipment import. Brown had a preference for the luxurious lifestyle and portrayed himself as a man of means despite being in massive debt. In November 2004, shortly after buying a .45 caliber Glock pistol, he joined a class in firearms training at the Totally Awesome Guns and Range in Salt Lake City. One of the requirements of him participating in such a class was for him to undergo a background check. Another was that his fingerprints would be sent to federal and state authorities. One of Brown's instructors described him as being an obnoxious student that did not have any sort of experience with the use of firearms. On November 29, 2004, 24-year-old armored truck security guard Robert Keith Palomares was attacked as he was carrying the deposits from a movie theater in Phoenix, Arizona. A hooded gunman shot Palomares with a semi-automatic Glock. 5 out of the 6 shots fired hit the security guard in the head. Even though he was armed, the attack unfolded too fast for him to react or defend himself. Palomares was taken to the Good Samaritan Hospital where he died shortly after. The gunman then fled the scene on a bicycle with a bag containing $56,000. After running a fingerprint analysis, the authorities named Brown as the prime suspect in the shooting. The bike and the murder weapon were also traced back to him. An arrest warrant was issued on December 4th, charging Brown with first-degree murder and armed robbery. He was added to the FBI's most wanted list on December 8, 2007, along with a $200,000 reward for any information leading to his capture. The suspect bared a resemblance to actor Sean Penn. In 2005, one of the actor's stunt doubles was arrested by mistake, as authorities had mistaken him for Brown. The last known sighting of Jason Derrick Brown came from one of his acquaintances. The witness recognized him at a traffic light in Salt Lake City and alerted the authorities. Number 2. Yasir Abdel Said. Yasir Abdel Said is currently one of the main fugitives wanted by the FBI for the murder of his 2 daughters, Amina and Sarah. He was nicknamed the Honor Killer, as he believed his girls had brought shame to his family. He married Patricia Owens when she was 16 and promised her family to look after her. By the age of 18, Owens was already a mother of 3, a boy, Islam, and 2 girls. The woman eventually had to work full-time to support her family while Said drove a cab part-time. She described him as being abusive in their relationship and with the girls. It was 3 or 4 times a week that he would hit me or kick me. I wasn't allowed to talk to my family on the phone unless he was there, and it was on the speakerphone. And as time went by, he would threaten me, like if I said anything to anybody that he would hurt them. When Amina was 9 and Sarah was 8, they told their grandmother that their father had sexually abused them. An investigation followed and proof of sexual penetration was found. The girls later recanted their testimony, claiming they had made up the story, and the charges were eventually dropped. Owens believed that they had been influenced by Said to do so. The family remained together despite clear warning signs. As Sarah and Amina approached their teen years, Said became extremely controlling. They were not allowed to date, and their father monitored everything they did. Owens told investigators Yasir was videoing them to see who they was talking to and to make sure they got on the bus. When they was at school, he would be taping them to see what they were doing. He put a recorder in Amina's car. He would check her mileage. That was just the way that he controlled us. Said also owned a gun that was always on him and constantly practiced his shot at the local range near his home in Texas. On Christmas Eve 2007, he found out that his daughters had been dating in secret and waved his gun around, threatening to kill them. Fearing for the safety of her family, Patricia Owens, the girls, and their boyfriends moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they rented an apartment. Owens and her daughters later decided on returning to Texas, where the girls would finish their school years before moving to Oklahoma for good. This decision would prove to be fatal for Amina and Sarah. Owens told the press, "I admit I made a mistake. I came back here, but I thought I was doing the right thing for Amina, for her schooling. I didn't know I was coming back for my daughters to be murdered." Shortly after their return, Said asked his daughters to get in his car, as he would take them out to get something to eat. They got in and unknowingly headed toward their death. On New Year's Day 2008, Sarah and Amina's bodies were found in Said's abandoned cab with multiple gunshot wounds. A chilling recording of a 911 call made by Sarah was released. Right before the sound of bullets ended the conversation, she can be heard saying, "Help, help, my dad shot me, my sister, I'm dying, I'm dying." The police were unsuccessful in their attempt to triangulate the call. Said disappeared without a trace right after the incident. He was described as having birthmarks on each side of his neck and a scar above his left eyebrow. Other details were released in order to facilitate his capture. These include the fact that he constantly wears dark sunglasses, even indoors, and that he is a frequent Denny's and IHOP customer. Said is believed to be working as a cab driver while hiding out in New York. Number 1. Alexis Flores. A native of Honduras, Alexis Flores is the 487th fugitive to be added to the most wanted list. He worked as a handyman in Hunting Park, Philadelphia during the summer of 2000 under the name Carlos. He was a homeless drifter when he met Jose Contreras, a Hunting Park resident who took pity on him. Contreras offered him clothes, a place to stay, and even a job. Carlos worked throughout the summer up until the end of July. 5-year-old Ariana De Jesus was riding bikes with her sister Ayana around the neighborhood. When Mota, their mother, came to check on the girls, Ariana could not be found. Her family declared her missing and, with the help of the neighborhood, began a search that lasted several days. The body of a little girl was found in the basement of an empty apartment building on August 3, 2000. It was the same building where Carlos lived. The little girl had been raped, strangled to death, and her body was wrapped in a trash bag. She was identified as 5-year-old Ariana De Jesus. A t-shirt with the little girl's blood on it was found near the body. Jose Contreras recognized the article of clothing and told police that he had previously given it to Carlos. He became the prime suspect. It was soon discovered that Carlos had left the area around the same time that Ariana had been declared missing. DNA samples were taken from the crime scene and introduced into the national database, but Carlos was not apprehended. Alex Flores, an illegal immigrant, was arrested for shoplifting in Arizona in 2002. In 2005, when police came to his home, upon receiving a noise complaint, they found pornographic material spread across the floor and a forgery device. Throughout the police interrogation, Flores maintained a friendly and cooperative disposition. Police took DNA samples, and after an incarceration period of 60 days, Flores was deported back to Honduras. In 2007, a positive match between the DNA samples taken from Carlos in Philadelphia and the one obtained from Alex Flores proved that they were the same person. Flores was added to the FBI's most wanted list, along with a $100,000 reward for information leading to his capture. He is currently believed to be in Honduras or back in the U.S.